it's time to get into part 4 with the passengers now back on board at the UK's least used station on the planet. You only have to wait for the signal to show the route ahead is clear, which it just did, before departing. You will shortly be passing Coral Summit, which at 1350 feet above sea level is the highest point on the Western Highland line. And here it's downhill all the way to Fort William, which means no more clag after the summit. Alrighty, let's get into forward. Brakes off. And a little bit of clag to get us moving. I did remember seeing a YouTube video from, I can't remember the guy's name, but he does lots of railway videos, and that actually isn't the UK's least used station, believe it or not. Gets quite a bit of traffic for people coming to walk the hills here. We are on the flat and we're about to start heading downhill. Suppose we could pick up a little bit of power as we pass the latest sacred mound on the left there. Alright, now that we've gotten into the slope, I'm going to power off and just let gravity take it from here. It actually reminds me just a little bit of the partner line to Festiniog, the Welsh Highland Railway. That one's pretty much all uphill until it's not anymore, and then it's all downhill to the coast, which is pretty much what's happening here. Similar sort of setup. Got lights. There we go. Let me just get the brakes into initial and we'll have a look on the map. So we have just left, and we have to do this last bit of the run, which is quite a bit of track all the way through here, eventually heading to Fort William. So we're going by Roy Ridge up here, Speen Bridge, which has got a bit of a yard there by the looks of it. We'll have a look around there. Mallaig, and of course Fort William. And we need to go through to Fort William because that's where the next route that I'm running after this one picks up. And it sounds like we should really get some brakes on here, because that squealing's going, you're going a bit fast, sunshine, and you're going to derail soon. You will shortly be able to see Loch Treig to your left. The loch is a man-made reservoir constructed in 1929 as part of the Loch Over hydroelectric scheme to power the aluminium smelter in Fort William. Nice. Alright, let's get off the brakes again, give them a bit of time to recharge. And back on. It's interesting that while you watch, the initial application holds quite happily, but it certainly didn't before. There's Loch Treig appearing, well, it was on our left-hand side a moment ago. you're managing your brakes down here, you need to give them enough time to charge up again from an air perspective, but also to cool a little. You can't bail the locomotive brakes off in 37 that I'm aware of. Leave the brakes applied for the moment so that we get down to the required 30 miles an hour as we cruise along next to Locktree here. May even have to brake a little harder just to manage that 30. We shall see. That's looking more promising. Be a touch over at the 30 sign, but nothing to be worried about. And off. Charge for a few seconds, and then straight back on to a heavy application. Get it down to about 27 or so, and off. As we come back towards 30, we'll go for a light application and see if it holds. Out now. So a light application's a little too much, so we'll have to keep juggling this all the way down the hill. And the idea is to keep the train close to the speed limit, preferably without going over it. This locomotive doesn't have any kind of dynamic or regenerative braking, so it doesn't have any kind of electric braking assistance that would be very handy in this situation. Sometimes she doesn't apply very quick. There we go. You're approaching Tree Gam. You'll go through the Furset Tunnel, which was built in 1931 when part of the original tunnel was flooded. Until the 1970s, there was a narrow gauge railway from Fort William to Tree Dam and Lagan Dam, just east of Tulloch, to service the pipeline carrying water to the hydroelectric power station at the aluminium smelter in Fort William. Don't know if we'll see any remains of said narrow gauge system, but you never know. Another little ganger's hut. Basically, in each one of these huts, there would have been a person, and their responsibility is from their hut to the next hut. And they would walk the line every day, looking for issues, loose bolts, loose chairs. And they would fix those things up, broken joints, broken track. Four miles until we roll through Tulloch North. Tulloch North platform. The way they're described there keeps putting me off. Train just passing over a cattle underpass now. Livestock anyway, cattle or sheep. Great to see either of them on the hills here. That would add to the believability in the immersion. As you pass through Tulloch, there is no need to stop here. You may get a glimpse of Loch Lagan to your right. You'll also notice you're approaching civilization again as you meet up with A86 and the A82 roads into Fort William. Back into the zone of rocks and trees again. We appear to be inside a hill. The hill has slackened off rather a lot. I'll just let gravity speed us up again. It should. So let's pop some power in, I think. Just hunting through my channel if I look slightly distracted. I'm trying to figure out, did I publish that other video? Which is the next one. Because I've already done the run. I'm not sure if I published it or not. See what happens when you don't pay attention? Doesn't look like I did. Found it. I just wanted to make sure I was going all the way through to Fort William, and I am. That'll be fine. I shall be back to driving now. Back into the forests again here. People will be working up. It's quite a detailed little driveway there. That actually looks quite good. Quite good indeed. Sort of funny little left-hand corner at the end of it. More people to say hi to. Hello! Surely they'd love to hear from the railway as it trundles by each day. It's 1.25 miles to Tulloch North if we have a quick look on the map. We're coming up here towards Tulloch North, so we'll be turning on to the next segment of the line there. Progressing quite well. So there you go. A little bit of a yard there for us to have a look around at when we get there. Just left the brake on this time so that we slow down for Tulloch North. Gratuitous bridge shot. Let's go. It's a seriously weird tree. The signal is at proceed. Here is the angry young man. Sorry, mate. That's right, it's not stopping. It's a bummer, isn't it? Please don't headbutt me. Right, let's go and have a look at the other side of the station. There's probably the station master's house. Having just passed Tallock, you are now in Glen Speen, following the course of the River Speen. Fairly large station here. It's like a freight house, ganger's shed. More pipes and pallets, and a little siding with a head shunt, so there's quite a tricky operation there, really, if you're putting things in there. But at least you do have a runaround point to cope with that, so that's quite good. Appear to be the River Speen. Like a spleen, but no well. Looks like we are coming towards a little mini summit at the moment, so we can pop a little bit of power in, and then we'll restart our downward journey. Just recapping the journey so far, it started with the British Ace, who ran from Penzance to Plymouth. Like that much. Then we went on to, again, the British Ace, Plymouth to Exeter. Followed by the British Ace, Exeter to Reading. And Megasim took over and ran from Reading to Paddington. And then Neil TV8 ran from Paddington to Harrow and Wealdstone. And yes, there's somebody at my doorbell. Then the next day we had Richie Rail running Harrow and Wealdstone to Milton Keynes. Followed by Richie Rail again, Milton Keynes to New Street, which is a bit of a natural because he is a Bray. He's actually from that area. Then we had Richie Rail again, New Street to Lichfield at Trent Valley. Followed by Tintin 57 running Lichfield Trent Valley to Stafford. And then Tintin 57 again, Stafford to Preston. And myself, train simulator driver, from Preston to Carlisle. Of course, I did that in Flying Scotsman, because when you've got a heavy gradient, you just need a clap that old steam engine to do it. And then we had Tintin 57 again, Carlisle to Glasgow Central. On the next day, day 3, we had Neil TB8 running Glasgow Central to Glasgow Central, which is in the Glasgow subway. Little short run there. Slow down for this 30 zone. Then we had Glasgow subway with British Ace. Actually, they both seem to do that, but that's okay. And then we had Queen Street to Helensburgh Upper, British Ace, and then me, Helensburgh Upper to Fort William, which is this one. Down to the limit now, followed by Fort William to Mallaig with me again, and that's a more interesting run than this one, I have to be honest with you. And then we have the one I wasn't sure where it was going to happen or not, so in my next video I might actually say that there's no one in the slot, because there wasn't at the time. But there is now. It's Tintin 57 running Kyle of Loch Alsh to Inverness, which did actually require Tintin to swim. Because there's a bit of a body of water in there. You'll soon be going through the Monossi Gorge before passing Roy Bridge Station. Passing lip at Roy Bridge was removed in 1966, and now the platform closed. Poor Roy, all abandoned. So going out to the map again, looking at where we are now. All this way. And we are next going to Roy Bridge, but it's not terribly far away. Whopping 3 miles. It's another one of those amazingly well-painted footbridges. I'm sure you're probably meant to do something with the earth around the end of that bridge, but they just didn't for whatever reason. Another little ganger's hut. A farmhouse over there that the path doesn't quite reach. I'll just let gravity speed us up. Who am I kidding? It's doing a terrible job. Interesting when you change views, your mouse pointer ends up back in the middle again. So there's a nice approach to the bridge there, and there's a way off the bridge. And could you imagine making that corner? It's a bit weird, isn't it? It's an interesting spot. I think that'll need a photo, won't it? I think so. Why not? Nice little reflection down there in the river. As we travel down the wall. questioning how, despite that fact it was applying, it really wasn't. That's the second time that's caught me out. Seems that sometimes the brake applies and sometimes it does not. A bit of variability there. That's what you always want, a bit of variability in your train. I do it in a lot of ways, that's actually quite realistic. Our trains often do unexpected things on a given day. Even the same engine from day to day can behave quite differently. Wake up, Rory Bridge. What's happening with those windows? It's a bit weird. What if that even came out in the video? We'll find out. Twinning. It's time for a bit of clag as we head for Speen Bridge. Mobile home village. It's almost like we're in Alabama. So we're crossing the River Speen before passing Speen Bridge Station. It's probably imaginatively named Speen Bridge because there's a bridge over the River Speen. We'll know soon. Speen Bridge was at one time a junction for the branch line to Fort Augustus at the southern end of Loch Ness. Watch out for the big lizard. The West Highland Railway had originally planned to extend the line to Inverness, but this never happened, and the branch to Fort Augustus closed in the 1940s. Gratuitous bridge shot. The distant is at proceed. All the yellow signals tell you, these ones, is that the next signal is at proceed. They themselves aren't really a signal. So if that one's at stop, you don't stop there, you just go through it and be prepared to stop at the next one. Could accelerate for this bit, but there's just not that much point, really. Up and add some smoke for the rail fans. Non-stop, straight through. Well, let's have a look at the rest of the station. We've got some more of those ridiculous sized coils, and one that seems to have sunk into the ground. It was so big and heavy. We have a large, very large excavator and some logs. A couple of little sidings down here. Truck and a goods shed. And a bunch of hooses. Back into the train. Past a little farm shed here. Better wake him up. Having passed Speen Bridge, you are now descending to Fort William, sitting in the southern end of the Great Glen, which runs northeast through Loch Ness to Inverness. You will soon be able to see Ben Nevis, the highest mountain in the UK, over to your left. Where? Ah, flag time. Heading to Malay Junction in a little under 7 miles time. Have a at the map. Take the panel off first before that. Now have a quick look at the map, and we have come through Speen Bridge North portal where you can run scenarios from. One of the things I like about this TSC actually over Train Sim World is you can see where all the portals are. So if you're building scenarios, and we have Fort William, which is the final destination. Malay Junction is the next spot, and then we'll come into Fort William itself, where we'll be terminating in the station there. So there's something waiting for us to get there too. More beaver trees. So there's probably only another minutes in this run, in theory. So if you like a really long run from point to point, and you like some scenarios for the stops in between, this is probably a decent route for that kind of thing. Now, admittedly, this isn't actually my kind of route. It's not the kind that I generally enjoy playing, unless they've got really good scenarios or intermediate things. And this does have some. And then I think I'd go somewhere along the lines of, if you like a long run and you like a bit of Brit action and you like a bit of Scotland, pick it up in a sail. I don't know if my voice filter is filtering them out or not, but you may pick up a little bit of conversation in the background. Apologies for that. Section's so short, I'm not even going to bother accelerating. Done a pretty good job just using gravity, really. Three miles to Malay Junction, followed by Fort William. This part of the route looks remarkably like the other end of it. Railway, trees, houses. Inexplicable freight sheds up on the side of a hill. Hangers to wake up. So we've got another relatively steep bit coming after this little hump. about to crest the little hump. You're now on the final approach to Fort William. Soon be able to see the aluminium smelter on your left-hand side. The smelter opened in 1929 as its own hydroelectric power station, powered by water from Loch Tree and other nearby lochs. After passing the smelter, you will cross Mallaig Junction, where the West Highland extension to Mallaig starts. And that is in fact where the next route takes off. We better get some brakes on. Going a little quick, and we need to make sure that signal that's coming up is not something that we don't expect. Start slowing down from the 15 anyway, so I'll probably just leave the brakes on. The advance starter is at proceed. There's our smelter over there. Just adding to the picturesque Scottish countryside, really. Just nestled in there quite nicely. Yep, fits in pretty much like a forest wood. It looks just right. Yes, fits, nestles into the landscape quite nicely. I believe there are some scenarios that, or at least one, that bring traffic to this smelter. Terrible sighting distance on this signal. It's a good thing it's got an advance. We are approaching Fort William, which brings us to almost the end of this journey, and I will be handing over for the next part to myself. We're running the West Highland Line extension. That route's actually quite interesting. It's got a radio telephone electronic block system, ETB, I think, RTEB, radio telephone electronic block. That makes sense. And yeah, it's quite cool, so quite enjoy playing it. And you will get to watch that up next, because in theory, this video will redirect to it. That's the plan. Now, I know I've recorded it, but I was looking to see whether I'd uploaded it or not. I think I have, so I'll have to make that happen. You have just passed Mallaig Junction and gone under the old bridge on the former route of the Loch Harbour narrow gauge railway. When we leave Fort William, we will actually come back over this same track, but we will go through the junction to the... coming this way, it was to our right, but we'll peel off to the left. Fort William itself is actually a dead end. Coming into platform 1. So you're now approaching the end of the line at Fort William Station. The current station was opened in 1975. as the site of the old station on the shore of the loch was needed for a new bypass around the town. And the scenario will end when you have dropped off the passengers at the station. Notice something there. Oh no, apparently they are set for us. I think. Oh, we can't reset them, so I guess so. And that will be it. Here we are at Fort William. Just get our doors open. That's it for this run, so thank you for joining in and taking part. I haven't worked out based on the timings whether I'll actually be in the chat for this one or not. If I'm not, it's because I'm either sleeping or working, one or the other. So, yeah, I think it happens on... Yeah, it happened on my Monday. And it's during the day, so it might be in my evening, actually. 3:25 is... So 12:05, nah. There we go. Part 4 of the scenario is complete. So I probably won't be in the chat, I think, just looking at the time. I think I'll be at work. But that's it. So enjoy. Next up is me, Fort William to Mallaig, followed by Kyle of Loch Elsh to Inverness with Tintin 57. Alrighty, hope this has been fun for you. Enjoy yourselves, and we shall continue the journey shortly. Bye now. This video should self-destruct. No, redirect. Redirect. That's it. Alright, have fun. Bye now.
We played a game.